Welcome to the Rocket Roof Show, where we equip fellow roofers to do more commercial business every first and third Thursday of the month. It's time to launch your business to the next level.
This is Project Command. Stand by at power transfer.
3, 2, 1, blast off!
Hey, Andy Neer with Rocket Roof Show here. Just wanted to bring a new guy on that I've been watching for a while. He's a young gun and making some big strides in the industry. Jacob Lee, and what's the name of your company?
I Like Roofing.
I Like Roofing.
That's what my name is.
That's a good name. I mean, you remember that one. You remember that one.
Hey,
so
that's what.
and where do you work out of? What state?
We do both Ohio and Pennsylvania. I live kind of on the Ohio-Pennsylvania line, so we do both.
Okay, awesome. And what I really like is that he's really young. In fact, I don't even know your age. You're about 25, right? 26?
27.
27. Okay.
Close.
Yep. Still young. I remember what I was doing when I was 27. It was banging shingles and shoveling snow in the wintertime and struggling. Definitely struggling. 27 years old. That's awesome. What's your family? You married, kids?
Yeah, I'm married. I have 4 children. I actually got married at 18, so
okay.
I kind of got a young start on that.
I beat you. I was 17.
For real?
Yeah.
Well, I'll be.
So, how long you been roofing?
I've been roofing since I was illegal to be on a roof, put it that way. But I would get on a roof if I got a chance, half a chance. And I think the first time I was on a roof, I was kind of the ground guy when I was like 14, 15 years old. That's really when I kind of got started in the commercial industry. And that's like when before then, I had occasionally helped my dad on our roof, our house, put a piece of metal on or stuff like that, but I wasn't really like a roofer until 14. I was actually working in a summer job, and I've honestly never got out of the industry. I mean, and then I worked at a summer job. I think I was 16 at the time, and I was working for my uncle, and I was just like, I guess I just didn't know I wasn't supposed to ask questions, and so I just asked him, how much money did you make on this project? And he said, well, he made 18 grand on this project, and it was like a 3-day project, and there was like 3 guys on it, and I was like, I could do this. I was 16. I mean, we were doing liquid applied. I mean, it's significantly easier than full replacement. I mean, if that was the case, I might have not said, look, I can do this. But even at 16, I knew that it was something I could handle, and that's really where I got started.
So, how big of a roof crew do you run? Right
now, we keep it real small, just 1 or 2 guys. And in the summer, I mean, I got a large team that I work with. We've got about 6 other contractors in the area that I work with. So we'll sub on larger projects. I'll sub a lot of the labor out. It just kind of keeps your crew as small as possible. Right now, actually, we don't really have any jobs going on, so technically I don't have nobody working for me right now. It's just in the summer, when we have full-time people going. I mean,
so you kind of hibernate a little bit in the wintertime.
Yeah,
this time of year, do some repairs and stuff.
Yeah, we'll still do repairs, and occasionally we'll get a crew out and we'll do stuff. But once it gets to this point, you really just don't make much money. I mean, it's wet. We get so much lake effect snow and rain in our area that we officially get more rain than Seattle. So
really.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, I mean, it's kind of for us. It's like it's almost not worth it even keeping a full-time staff on hand. So, but yeah, I mean, and then my family's all roofing. So I got brothers that are roofers, and so we work closely together a lot. And so we have I've got 2 brothers that own a commercial roofing company, separate company, and then in my area, and then another brother that owns one in North Carolina. And so we kind of work together on larger projects. And then my father also owns a commercial roofing company in Southern Ohio. Okay. And so whenever we run into really large projects, we'll combine crews and we'll work with each other and so it just kind of minimalizes the need for a large employee base.
So I know a lot of guys listening to this might think, well, you just can't make significant income with a 4-man or 5-man, 6-man crew. or another concept would be what I call owner-operated, where the guy that's the owner is a salesman and he actually works in the job some of the time. And many guys think, well, that, you know, just can't make a lot of money doing that. What do you say to that?
Well, okay, if you look at a company, if you look at first principles in a company, the point of a company is you got to make a profit. So I still remember when we first sat down and we were like, okay, well, how much can you really do with it? You're like a 4-man crew. And you know, it was one of the things that you kind of evolve with. And so we actually found out you can comfortably do $1 million a year with a 3 to 4-man crew. You know, obviously you're going to have times in there where you're going to be hiring a guy. I mean, $1 million is not that much, especially in the commercial industry.
Now, revenue is great, but what kind of profit margin are you talking about?
I mean, I'm talking about 30 to 40% profit margins. It's very difficult. Okay, the smaller your employee base can be, the more you can pay your employees, and so you get better quality people, and you can get paid yourself better. So if you can figure out how to higher revenues with less people, they're going to be happier, you're going to be happier, you're going to get a very high quality, very high caliber people helping you out. And you know, so you know, you're basically paying, we're not union, but we're paying just as good as union. I mean, maybe not quite all the benefits, but you know, and so that's kind of how we do that. And when you're able to pay that kind of money, you get the best. You really do get the best talent. I mean, you do. And even other business owners in the area, like, I mean, if I'm in a pinch, I mean, I surround myself with as many other roofers as I can. I stay friends with everybody that's a roofer in the area. If I can possibly be a friend with them, I'll definitely be. Because what happens is, you get on a large project, you're like, hey, I got a tear off. You know, I try to avoid those at all costs. If I can do anything I can do to get a liquid applied system is better. And there's really 2 reasons. Number one is a time factor. If you look at your business, you want to make X amount per day, or your overhead stays pretty much the same per day. But if you can get more dollars worth of projects done in less time, and the only way that we figured out to do that was a liquid applied system. So that's why we avoid tear-offs. But occasionally you do run into that situation where you know, and I think that's one of the things where if you get into the liquid applied industry, is you have to understand you cannot coat every roof. Like, you have to really, you got to take some manufacturing training and get some of that experience, and
you got to say no sometimes.
You got to say no, and you got to know what you can and cannot coat. And it's extremely important if you're going to build a long-term business in the liquid applied industry, is that your quality is like unmatched. If you can match quality with people who are replacing a roof, hey, and you're saving the building owner 30, 40, and 50%. I mean, why wouldn't they go with you?
Yeah.
I mean,
right. So you kind of jumped the gun a little bit maybe on the coating,
sorry
but
about that.
no worries. Do you see a benefit with commercial roofing over residential?
Well, yeah, and there's really a couple reasons. Number one, residential, you got to go through a lot of roofs. And I just talked with a contractor last week, and he told me he did 700 roofs this year, and they're doing about $5 million. You know, my deal is you know what kind of headaches that guy has? You know, great business operation, super nice guy, very fun. I mean, love the guy, but you know, you're doing 700 roofs a year. That's 700 customers. You gotta have salespeople. You can have a lot more equipment. You can have a lot of sub crews. Warranties. A couple strategic partnerships. I don't know how else to explain it. A strategic relationship with a large company, and if they own 40 or 50 buildings, you know, you're going to be doing 2 to 3 roofs a year. I mean, hey, they own 50 buildings. You do 2 to 3 roofs a year. I mean, the average size roof being in commercial is a 50 grand. So I mean, you're talking about $150,000 worth of business on average from one customer. You can really give that customer the VIP experience. You treat them well, you can take their calls personally, and it's a lot less stress on you as the business owner to handle a commercial operation. It's just significantly less stress. And commercial customers are easier to handle than a residential customer are. I mean, they will know if you're faking it. Like, I mean, they're smart people. Don't get me wrong. They are absolutely will catch you if you're an amateur. Like, they will know if you're faking it. But if you build a relationship with them, they often are very loyal. They're extremely loyal. And if you can take care of their problems, and you're like that guy that they can just depend on, like, I mean, they got a leak coming in, and so commercial is so good for so many reasons. And I could literally talk all day about a commercial.
Well, let me lead you to the next
love
question.
commercial.
Why do you think so many residential contractors have a hard time transitioning well into commercial?
Well, I think there's a couple reasons. The first reason is that they're used to spending virtually no money on marketing. And when you shift into the commercial industry, marketing becomes much more important because the market is much different. You know, we're going to get completely different people. Joe that works at Company X is not going to see you on Company Y's roof, very unlikely, because the roof is so massive. Like, I mean, they may, but referrals, you can't really depend on it. And you will get referrals in the commercial industry, don't get me wrong. However, that is the number one reason, is that you're just not going to get referrals, so marketing becomes key. Second reason is that it looks like it looks hard. And so if they think it's hard and it's difficult and they're not sure how to break into the market, there's actually a third reason now that I'm thinking about it, is that oftentimes they don't have great vendor relationships. They don't have relationships with manufacturers that have proven themselves with product, and most of them don't have somebody they can turn to and say, hey, how do I do this? And so connecting with a company that's got great leadership and they've got great training and they've got great people that you can ask advice from and get experience from other contractors, I think that's very key.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I want to point something out here while you guys are watching us. You probably see that we got our Donald Trump power suits on here. There's a reason for that. We're out here at a business training. It's a roof training that we come to once in a while, and I see him often at these trainings, and so that's why we're dressed like this today. I don't know about you, but I actually like to wear a suit. A lot of guys don't like to wear a suit. But,
I do too.
But
I feel great.
I was raised in a Baptist church, and I always kind of wanted to dress like my dad. And by the time I was old enough to afford a nice suit, everybody in the church stopped wearing suits. So it's like 3 people in the whole church wear suits, and I'm one of them. So, but I like it. I enjoy it. Moving on. So, what niche should a contractor focus on when breaking into commercial? Do you think there's one that maybe is easier to learn or maybe more profitable?
Well, I would honestly say the fluid applied systems, and there's a couple reasons for that. If you go into the fluid applied systems, you're often restoring an existing membrane, and you're basically taking an existing membrane, cleaning it, preparing it, and you're applying a new product, sometimes with a membrane, and so you basically create a new system on top of the old system, incorporating the old system. So what happens is you really, really lower your liability. And for me as a contractor, the lower liability you can get, the better.
So let me do a deep dive into there. What kind of liability?
Well, all right. One example. I'm just going to share.
What could go wrong?
I'm just going to share one example.
Okay.
We had this system that was it was a ballasted EPDM system, and in a ballasted, if it's ballasted, you have no choice. You got to take the rock off. You got to put something down, and so we took the rock off and we put down an inch of ISO over the whole roof, and then we have a coating system that we use. We basically have like a brushable caulk that we put on all the screw heads, and then we have we put a base coat and a fabric on all of the seams, and then you actually caulk the seams before you do that. Make sure that all the gaps are kind of taken care of. When you do that, then you put a primer over everything, and then we put down a fabric over the whole roof. You're basically creating a brand new membrane.
Building a new single ply.
Build a new single ply from the ground up.
Yeah.
Now, we took out the old EPDM, put down an inch of ISO, and then we put our new roof on top of that, our new coating system on top of that. But the problem is that we had a 0% chance of rain that day, and the rainstorm came up, and we had it just popped up out of the blue. It was 0% chance of rain, but it rained. It only rained for 5 minutes, but guess what? It leaked, and we had one leak in the building, just one. And it was while they were actually coating that day, and we didn't, it's 0% chance of rain. I mean, you don't expect it to rain then. I mean, but it did, and so it leaked right into server room, and it leaked under servers and crashed your servers and stuff.
Uh-oh.
So it
always leaks in the worst possible spot, doesn't it?
I was like, hey,
electrical panel, or
and fortunately, we have a really great relationship with this client. We've done millions of dollars worth of work with them. Millions. I mean, lots. I mean, they're their biggest client by far. Anyway, And so they trusted us implicitly. So we just took care of the bill. I mean, it was 16,000. It was only 16,000, so it wasn't like super bad. But I mean, you know, and so that is why I don't like tearing off. I mean, and any type of situation like that, and especially when you come to liquid applied.
I don't care how professional or how long you've been in business. If you are a big contractor, it's going to happen. You're going to have a rainstorm come up on you. It's not like people are anybody's perfect.
And we've had cases where, you know, there's people that, you know, they tear off a roof, and you know they get ready to put the weld you know, TPO on or PVC or whatever they're putting down. You know, they're ready to start that, and the generator, you know, conks out, and you know, you run to Home Depot or Lowe's and you grab a welder, but you don't get the roof covered. I mean, you know, something crazy or really stupid happens, and you have no access, you have no way to get this roof down. I mean, you know, the bigger you get, the easier it is to mitigate some of that stuff. You have extra welders, extra generators on hand, but you just
experience.
But yeah, and some of those things do happen. I mean, it can happen, so that's kind of why I'm kind of like, I'm a real fan of liquid applied,
especially for new guys, so they can kind of avoid that risk.
When you're first getting into the industry, the second thing is I would actually kind of say start with a lot of service work. You know, commercial building owners, they have all these buildings, and I look at it like this: if you can scratch the itch, like, I mean, the old saying, if you can scratch the itch, they're going to definitely come to you. So you find the problem and you fix it. I mean, it is so cliche, but it really is true. And a great way to break into the market is to start a service company. Become a service guy that deals with commercial roofing owners, and you say, look, I will come out and deal with your roof. You know, within 48 hours, I'll get on that roof and I'll do something with your leak. I'll do my best to fix it. And you know, you develop a certain service contract saying, you know, I charge X amount for, you know, service call, you know, so that the customer knows, okay, this is what, if I call this guy, this is what I can expect. And so you basically become a vendor, so to speak, with the company. And so it's a great way to develop, you know, kind of get your foot in the door, and you develop some key relationships, and you know, do a little bit of marketing and kind of position yourself there. And then when you're there, you're not positioning yourself as an expert. You're just positioning yourself as a guy that can fix a leak. And so you go out there and you learn how to fix a leak on a commercial roof. That experience is so invaluable, especially when you start doing big projects and you run into a situation like, hey, where's this leak coming in? But guess what? You had all the service work that you did, and you had to figure out where the leak was coming in. And man, it's just incredible how that experience will like help you kind of break in, because you've got such amount of confidence, because you know that you can take care of their leak. And so when you go out and sell that to the building owner, you'll have confidence.
In fact, I'd even encourage you, if you feel like, man, I don't know how to fix this leak, I would go far as to say, you know, you got hundreds of, not just me and not just you, but hundreds of contractors that are on social media all the time. They're kind of flattered if you message them and say, hey man, I have this issue and I thought maybe you could help me. Could you kind of steer me in the right direction? Even if they're not like doing podcasts and whatever, a lot of roofers would be, they want to help. They want to share their knowledge.
And see, that's how I am. Like, if somebody calls me, it's like, hey, how do I fix this leak? I mean, just give me a basic synopsis of what's going on. I mean, you know, sometimes leaks will get easier and easier to fix the more you get experience. But like, if somebody calls me, I mean, I'm not hugely experienced. I mean, I've done a lot of leak repair. I mean, I've really done a lot of them. I mean, I do have some clients where we do a lot of service work for them. I mean, literally, we have service contracts. We do literally no roofs for them. Occasionally, we bid a job, but they almost never get us. But I mean, literally 90% of the work we do for them is all service work, and you know, and they're large companies, and so, you know, you start getting used to that, and so, hey, you're more willing to always help people. Like, I mean, I'm always willing. If somebody calls me, I'll always try to help them out. I mean, I may not be able to drive 100 miles and deal with the leak myself, but a 5-minute phone conversation may be all it takes.
So let me ask us a couple practical things. Like if somebody's going to go in and do a cold call, or maybe it's their first time pitching, give me something. I think we were talking about this yesterday about Jordan Belfort saying, you know, sell me this pen. What are some common mistakes that a guy selling a commercial job should avoid, or what should they do?
Well, number one, listen to what they want. And one of my very good friends, he's also an extremely successful a roofer, or used to be a really successful roofer. He always says use the FORM system, which is family, occupation, recreation, and message, and that kind of you kind of structure your
conversation.
You kind of got to build a relationship with a client, so you find an opportunity to talk about their family. But we're in business, so you can't always this is not a rule. This is a concept of a goal to kind of achieve. So try to find a way to talk with their family about their family. Talk about their occupation, talk what they're doing. I mean, for me, in a commercial building owner, oftentimes it's easier you start with occupation and then go to family. Sometimes you never get to family, but you go occupation and then.
And if there's not an opportunity, you just skip to the next one.
That's right, and then recreation. Most of the time, you can find an opportunity in certain. Hey, so what do you do for fun? Like if it's hunting season, so you just ask, hey, so are you hunting this year? Hey. I mean, if you don't know what else, look at the wall. Maybe he's a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan or Cleveland Browns, or those are the areas where I mostly work in. So those are
Yep.
I'm not really a fan. I'm not huge into sports, but if you look for the signs, sometimes they'll win awards in the industry, and so ask them about their awards. People love to tell him about their achievements,
yeah.
And so that's a great way to kind of build a little bit of a relationship. And when you do that, that builds trust. I couldn't stress this more. All the fancy sales techniques, you can just throw that out the window. 20% of your sales is literally, there's only about 20% of the actual words you say is only about 20% of your message. And when you come with an attitude of, I really care about you, I want to fix your problem, I want to be here for you, you just need to communicate to the customer that you're there for them and to help them.
I've seen people ruin that theory though that you had, where they're stuck there for an hour and a half talking about hunting and fishing, and I think that could go the wrong way, where it's like, you're there to do something. You want to break rapport. You want to create rapport with them. You want to have them to be comfortable with you. But then once you know that, and when you build rapport with them, when you've reached that point, I think it's good. I've always done this, to go right in to say, okay, so you called me here today to look at a leak. Talk to me about what issues you're having. You kind of get to the point. And I've noticed that they respect me, that, now he wants to talk about business, he wants to talk about my problem. And I want to, because I've ran into some business owners, they have time. Yeah. And so they'll talk your ear off. And it's like, I don't have.
I'm with you there. You have to keep it professional.
Yep.
It is not professional to talk for 2 hours. It just isn't.
Yep.
You have. It's great if you can. And when I say form, it's just an idea of the main. Some things to think about that people care about, and it's just a short, very simple way to build trust and it has to be authentic. Mm-hmm. And this is one thing that I want to say, very important. Don't try to be something you're not. Be yourself. People don't want to do business with people that are trying to put on a front. People smell fake from a mile. Just be yourself. Be professional. Do your best to be professional, just get 1% better every day. I love the theory of, the rule of 1%, which is if you get 1% better every day in a year, you'll be 38.7 times better, and vice versa. If you get 1% worse every day, in a year's time, you'll be basically you're way down.
Yeah.
So I think that that's one of the main things is to build trust, is to be yourself, be authentic, and find genuine ways that you can reach out and create conversation, and but do it in a business-like manner. Get in, get out, and move on.
So another practical tip, because I really like to do that on a show. Let's say a customer, they're really looking at your system, they're interested in you, but they ask you a question that you have no idea. You're like, I've never even heard of that type of whatever. Yeah. I know some people are like, fake it till you make it. You just BS your way through it.
Well,
what do you think a good response to that is?
Well, I don't really like to fake it till you make it. I know what they're saying. I think that you should show confidence, not dishonesty.
Yep.
In a case like that, don't don't fake that you know what you're talking about. Just say, hey, you'll do some investigation, and you'll kind of, check all the pros and cons. You'll do some research on it, and you want to make sure that you give them the absolute best option. You write it down, and then say you'll get back to them, in 20, 40, 48 hours or whatever.
I'll give you an example. The first time, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, I did my first Rhino bond system, and I met with the customer, and they're like, we've done some research and we want this Rhino bond system. Can you do that? And I just said, hey, I'll be honest with you, I've never done a Rhino bond system, but we've done other systems that are similar like it. I'll do some research and get back with you. So they understood I was being forthright that I've never done the system. But I think a lot of guys are like, ooh, if I say that I never did that, they're not going to hire me.
No, I would disagree with that. In fact, in business especially, and we live in a world of social media, and everybody's trying to be something on social media, and they always put their best foot forward. And so if you come in and you're authentic, there's something about that builds trust with the customer, because he says, you know what, this guy's secure enough in who he is that he doesn't have to try to be something that he's not. And so from it's totally psychological. Like if you come in and you're just authentic, you're real. I mean, why do you think that Americans are in love with Western movies? Like, because these people are just authentic with who they are. I mean, they're just a wild, and honestly, I think that is the number one thing you can do to build trust, is to just come in and just be authentic. Mm-hmm. And I think you handle it very well. Did you get the project there?
Yep, and we've done 3 projects for them since, and now they're in a large maintenance contract with us. So.
You see, that's my point exactly. Yep. Is that just being authentic with your customer. Don't try to be something you're not. And hey, and it's always it's good to be a little bit creative. Figure out ways to spin what they may view as a negative into a positive. If they say, well, hey, well, I'm not sure we want to go with somebody's inexperienced with Rhino bond system. Well, then you could spin it and say, well, I know we're not experienced with Rhino bond, but we're very experienced in taking care of customers, and we would love to have the opportunity to serve you. And if you give us a shot, we'll show you how great we are with service.
Yep. And one of the ways I've done it in the past, because that was the first time I did standing seam, it was the first time I did cedar shakes, or all these different systems. And sometimes somebody would ask, hey, have you done these before? And I'd say, well, I hadn't done this particular system before, but what I do like to do is, before we do your project, I like to order a small sample from the manufacturer, play around with it at the shop, and get some information from the rep, some do's and don'ts, and doing new systems that are new to us is not the same concept. Roofing, and waterproofing and thinking like water is the same across the board. So by the time I tell them that, they're like, oh, okay, they trust you.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, you just have to be creative, but don't be deceptive.
Oh, absolutely not. And people smell dishonesty from a mile away. They know you're lying. I mean, 96% of all communication is nonverbal. I mean, I've done some studies on it, and I've done some sales courses in the past, and there's a couple of really good ones out there, and they talk a lot about, and one of the courses I took was they talked about, your body language. Your body language and your voice qualities will literally be, is actually 94% of communication, and a simple concept would be like, I love your roof, or I really love your roof. You're basically saying the same thing, but you're communicating something completely different. Just by, and so, whenever you lie, whenever you say something dishonest, you're communicating to the customer you're lying. They know it already.
We would like to take just a minute to thank our sponsor, Next Level Roofer. This informative masterclass debunks the myths and exposes the lies that may be holding you back from reaching the next level. Visit 360nextlevelroofer.com to register for the next event.
The fluid applied, do you see liquid applied growing? Liquid applied roofing, do you see it growing or plateauing over the next 1 to 5 years?
It's definitely not going to plateau, and there's a couple reasons why. Number one is that the liquid applied systems market, I mean, the technology is improving at a tremendous rate. The manufacturer that I'm with, they've been around for 45 years, so I mean, they've got a really good reputation in the industry. And some people may disagree with me, but I believe that single plies are going to continue to grow. And there's really a couple reasons. As manufacturers get better at creating a system, primer, base coat, top coat, whatever you need to do with your seams, caulking, sealants, everything kind of works together. They're becoming better and better, I've noticed, and like it's becoming more and more accepted in the industry. So I think that it's going to grow. I mean, I actually think that it's going to accelerate because the benefits of installing a single ply system, especially to a roof that basically is good. I mean, you're not paying, okay, we're putting more dollars worth of material on the roof than a single ply guy is most of the time. Per square foot, our coatings would cost more than the single ply and the board stock. However, our labor and application is so much lower. We don't pay dumpster, we don't have to pay landfill, we don't have to pay labor to rip it off and labor to put it back down. We're not basically re-insulating their entire roof every time. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's actually extremely efficient if you think about it.
And so most of the time avoiding coat upgrades.
Exactly. And so what happens is if their current membrane is in relatively good shape, it's just getting to the end of their life of the roof, you can basically stop the aging of the existing membrane. That's really what we're doing, is we're completely stopping the aging of the existing membrane by doing a really good, well-applied, fluid-applied system. And so what happens is now the building owner can it becomes
a sustainable roof.
Exactly, it becomes a sustainable roof. And so he didn't have to pay for dumpsters. He wasn't paying for labor to rip off the old board stock or ISO. He wasn't paying to put it back down, and he wasn't, and so. That's kind of where I see, that's one of the reasons why I see that this can continue to grow, and especially, now, I mean, we've got major ISO shortages. I mean,
and
if
screws.
you can find that stuff, I mean,
and
screws. I mean, that stuff is like gold. I mean, it's like,
and people are finding alternates, and then the alternates are running out, like the Durarock and the Invisiboard, and like everything.
And EPS. I mean, I know people that put EPS and then they're putting a dense deck or something on. But even the dense deck's now getting hard to find for some people. And so, I mean, I've never personally, I've never installed a dense deck myself, but I've got friends that do, and even that's getting harder to find. And so that's one of the reasons why fluid applied is such a great option. And also the technology for the actual, if you look at the energy use, if you put a really good quality, like a white roof system over like an EPDM system or a TPO or a PVC system, whatever, you can basically take that roof and you can cool that thing down by 20 to 30 degrees. It'll significantly save them money and energy costs.
Yeah.
I mean, and especially if you're in the spray foam side, like I really like spray foam. I really, really like spray foam. I mean, you can slope the roof any way you wish. You can put as much on as you want. It is 100% waterproof on its own. It's instantly waterproof. That is one of the greatest things about spray foam. It's just instantly waterproof. And so, I'm a big proponent of spray foam. I love spray foam. I love talking about spray foam all the time. But
you lay some nice flat butter too.
Oh yeah. It's really addicting. When you get into spray foam industry, it's you have a hard time letting go of the gun.
So back to what you were saying with the building owners, they're starting to, see the research. They're starting to see that coatings are a viable solution. That they're getting better and better, and I think a lot of building owners. Do you agree that they're starting to see that coatings aren't just a Band-Aid?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And
for a long time they were.
Yeah, for a long time, and that's true. And part of the problem is that manufacturers. It took a while for manufacturers to catch up with doing good training. Even the manufacturers that we deal with, and they've always had really good training. But even they have increased standards of what their training is. They've upped the ante and put in bigger training centers and fancier. Put them through a much more intensive. And so I think that in general, like the industry, the training is getting better. Industry knowledge is getting better, and overall knowledge. There's just much more resources out there for people getting the fluid applied market than there used to be.
Yeah. So, what do you say to a contractor that needs to know everything about everything before they get into commercial roofing?
Well, if you're the type of person that wants to know everything about everything, start with a single system. I would say learn how to do really good at, say, metal roof. Like if you got a lot of metal buildings in your area,
which is the least amount of risk.
It's the least amount of risk. You screw up on that, the water will still run off. I mean, in the north, you're obviously going to have, you know, problems where eventually you get water siphoning in and stuff like that. But, you know, you really have to mess it up bad for that to happen. You know, or for it to be a significant problem. Even then, I mean, worst case scenario, you caught one seam. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. You know, but yeah, I mean, start with like the metal roof, you know, metal roof coatings. Get really good at some kind of a system that takes care of the deals with the rust, has a good primer, has a top coat, has something to deal with the seams. Some company that's been around for a while. You know, some company that has a very good system that's proven it's worked, and you know, walk a few roofs that you know, get the manufacturer, you know, to recommend a few contractors in your area that have installed it or close to you, or I don't know, fly across the country. It doesn't really matter. The point is, find somebody who's done it, find a couple of roofs, walk it, look at it, and get a good feel of what it would take, and then get really good at that one system. And then when you do that, and it kind of develops you some confidence, and then over time you get more knowledgeable in another system and another system. And obviously there's many ways to do that, but I would recommend a metal roofing system. You know, maybe if you're in an area like you know, like Pittsburgh, like there's maybe not so many metal roofs. You know, a lot of old you know, hot tar roofs or whatever. I mean, it doesn't matter. The point is, you might have to say, okay, 80% of the roofs in my area are this system. Figure out a really good liquid applied system for those type of roofs. Get very knowledgeable about it. Find out what it is and just get really good at that one system. Okay. And you know, I don't know, that would be my recommendation. You know, we kind of got specialized down, and we ended up doing like 80% of our stuff with spray foam. I mean, we were just really good at it. Yep. You know, and you know, we had really good success with it. Customers, you know, their roofs didn't leak. I mean, you do a really large project. You know,
there's really not as much competition.
Exactly, and and you know, and the beauty of spray foam is that you don't even have to have that much equipment to get started. Like, I mean, you know, there's always guys out there with spray foam rigs that'll probably come spray your roof for you. You know, so, you know, and another idea would be is, you know, get a few projects, you know, and get a current contractor that already does it. You know, maybe sub it out to them. I mean, or at least sub the labor to them, and just pay them to come teach your guys how to do the roof.
So I'm gonna say something here that there's gonna be a lot of guys that are just gonna disagree with me, but because I know you're kind of dancing around like, yeah, you know, it's spray foam, yeah. But I'm gonna tell you, there are so many guys that are jumping into spray foam. They have an extra 50 grand, 100 grand. They go buy a spray foam rig, but they don't know nothing about roofing. And not only do they learn how to do spray foam, but they have to learn how to do roofing. So they don't know how water runs, and they're screwing up projects. Yeah. And that's why it's got such a bad reputation. So that's why I say, if you're a roofer and you're looking for a niche and you're looking for a way to make money, but you're a roofer, the industry needs you. The industry needs a good roofer that comes in and to learn how to do spray foam, because the money is there, the niche is there, the technology is there, the manufacturers there to support you, and the industry needs you.
And with spray foam, now I should have mentioned this. I'm a really big component. I love spray foam. It's an extremely good system, but installing it is absolutely paramount. If you screw up on a foam roof, you know, it's just like anything else. You can make a massive mess. You know, if you're new to it and you don't know it, you know, you got extra 100,000. I mean, you're like, okay, what can I invest it in? I mean, it is a great idea to go in the spray foam industry, but before you do it, talk with the experts. Like, talk with somebody who has done it, who's doing it, is in the business. They've got guys, you know, find out if you can hire somebody for a few weeks to teach your guys, or teach one of your guys how to get really, really good at spraying foam. Like, and your rig maintenance, all of that stuff. Like, there's so much things to know. With spray foam, one of the things I like about spray foam is there are guys all over the country that will actually come spray your foam for you. And you know, if you're looking for guys, I mean, contact me on social media. I know a whole bunch of people. Like, I mean, I'm not even going to make any money off of these guys, but hey, I mean, I'll refer you. I mean, before you go put something down you wish you hadn't, you know, get somebody, you know, do a few projects where you hire outside contractors to come spray it for you before you actually buy your own rigs. That I would strongly suggest that.
I did that. I did my first spray foam roof in 2010. Had another guy spray it. We did about one project a year for the next 8 to 10 years, and Funny thing is those are probably the projects I had the least amount of issues with. I mean, the first one, it's never leaked, and so I was a little leery about it at first because I'd never done it. But then last year or I should say about a year ago, we bought our first spray foam rig. And I didn't want to learn how to do it, but the guy in my crew said he wanted to learn, so we bought a used spray foam rig. But the guy that I bought it from said he was willing to come and work with us for a couple days on our first project, and showed us how to use the rig, showed us how to spray good foam, and then we just made sure for the first year we just did small projects under 50,000 square feet. I'm sorry, under 5,000 square feet. So
I was ready to say under 50,000. Yeah, you're really thinking big.
No,
I like the way
we
you're
did
talking.
we did a couple that were 10 square, 20 square, 30 square, and then now both him and me are feeling pretty comfortable with what we can do, what our limitations are. I think that's anything within roofing. You need to know what your limitations are and your ability. And then now next year we can start going into bigger projects.
And honestly, as somebody that's a good applicator, if you do have a big project, I mean, oftentimes these guys would be more than willing to fly across the country and help you. I mean, they really are very helpful people. And usually, especially if the maintenance on their rig doesn't have to be done, they'll come teach you how to do it. I mean, we've actually done that in the past. When we've helped quite a few different people, where we actually, we've gone out on their job sites and taught them how to use their rigs, and taught them how to clean the gun, and taught them how to spray smooth foam, and some simple tips and strategies. I mean, and then from there on, it's just experience.
So one last question on the coating side. Because I did shingles and metal and standing seam and EPDM and a lot of residential stuff for many years, and it took a long time to train somebody. Like on shingles and metal, it would take me 6 weeks to train somebody before I could let go of their hand and trust them on the other side of the roof without me. Or metal, maybe more like 9 or 10 months before I could trust them to go do their own thing. But with coatings, do you find that learning curve's a little bit shorter? It
is a lot shorter, but there's also some other things to be aware of. Like, the beauty of coatings is in the field, anybody can do it. In the field, anybody can do it. The details.
Teach a guy how to caulk screws in like 5 minutes.
yeah, exactly. I mean, or
now you got 20,000 more to do. See you later.
And the thing about it is if they screw up on the top coat, I mean, if the day is nice, I mean, as long as they spray within this time to this time, it ain't gonna wash off overnight. And hey, you might have to put a little bit more coating on, but I mean, outside of that, there's not really that much they can screw up. So it is a lot less of a liability. If they do something wrong, it's very easy to fix. And that's what I love so much also about this is like, you can empower somebody to just go out and do something. I mean, it doesn't matter if they ended up not doing it or not doing it correctly, because hey, it's coatings. Like, you can just put more coating on. I mean, hey, they didn't put enough coating on. Oh, not a problem. Just put more coating on. I mean, that's what I love so much with the fluid apply system.
So give me a number. How many guys since you started have you worked and trained and helped them get started?
Well, right now on the team we have 140, but active contractors, there's probably 30 or 40 active contractors, and of the 30 or 40 are active, there's always comes down to a couple that are absolutely killing it, and then there's basically 20 of them that are really doing well, and some of them are it's more of a they have it in their back pocket if they get run into a job, and we've got about 5 or 6 that are just starting. And that we help teach them how to do marketing, teach them how to get jobs, and then actually come out on the job, and we help them with actually on the site, teach their guys how to do it, and
So you have a podcast.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So funny thing, when you were telling me this a few months ago, I think it was about 5 or 6 months ago, you were telling me you weren't thinking about doing a podcast, but you had a couple people tell you that, hey, you should do a podcast because you're passionate about this and that.
Yep. Well, I'm a very strong Christian, so I believe that there's for some reason there's this concept in Christianity that somehow if you're a Christian, somehow you can't make money. I mean, I know for a fact that the Bible. Yeah. I mean,
Abraham.
Solomon was ultra wealthy. He was a Christian, and so. I'm not saying that as a Christian you want to. I mean, sometimes you don't want the problems that go along with becoming ultra wealthy. But I do believe that that God created the universe and there's laws that if we follow the laws and we obey these laws, we will definitely be successful. I mean, it's really that simple. I mean, and some people call it the law of gravity. People call it the law of cause and effect. I mean, the Bible calls it the law of sowing and reaping. But and so those are some of the concepts, those were some of the things I was talking about, and I had some, and I love talking about the Bible and what the Bible's got to say, and so I had this guy a couple different times, and the guy just comes up to me, he's like, well, man, you really should do a podcast. And I was like, well, I first need to get more successful. Like, I'm not qualified to talk about success. Like, I'm not successful enough. I mean, or at least in my mind I wasn't. And then one guy told me, he said, you know what, if you got something to share it. It doesn't matter if some people don't like it. Just share. And honestly, I don't mind if somebody doesn't even like my podcast. I mean, my goal is to do everything I can to add value where I can, and it may not add value to everybody equally.
Okay.
So,
what's your name of your podcast?
It's called the Let's Get to Business podcast.
Okay. So it's really about how business is talked about in the Bible.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, you want me to share a few simple things? All right. First off, it says, God is not mocked, what you sow, you shall also reap. I mean, it's basically saying, look, God created the universe. He created laws that if you obey and if you live within these laws, you will sow what you reap. You sow, you're honest to your customers. You're sowing honesty in your business, and that is going to come back to you. There's also a concept in the Bible that's called the second mile. It's actually an ancient law that the Romans instituted, where if a Roman soldier was coming down the street, he could compel anybody that was not a Roman to carry his pack for a mile. Mm-hmm. And Jesus said, go with him twain. So if you went 2 miles with him, and so that's where we get the old saying, go to second mile. So you go to second mile with your customer, he's going to start saying, man, this guy's doing more. He's going over and above to me, and there is nobody on earth that won't do business with you if they have a choice between you and somebody who does not do that. I mean, it's a simple biblical concept. So I think that there's a law of sowing and reaping, and then my personal business mantra comes from Luke 16:10, which is, he that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. But he that is not faithful in the least is also not faithful in much. And I believe that there's an implied blessing that if we do take care of the small things, we are faithful with those small things, that we will be blessed with greater things. And I literally believe that's a law of the universe, that God set up in order, that if we obey that we will be blessed. I mean, It doesn't implicitly state so, but I think that it's implied. Yeah.
Well, great. I mean, where could people find this podcast?
Well, you can find it on anywhere you find your podcast: Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Audible, Spotify.
This is audio podcast, Google. Not a visual.
Yeah, it is an audio podcast. Yeah, it is not a visual. I'm not that sophisticated yet.
You'll be there. You'll be there.
Yeah.
I know you're telling me you wanted to build a podcast studio. You just didn't have the right space to put it in. But
yeah, not yet. I do have a shop, but I have to build a studio, and I really strongly believe that you use the resources you currently have, and you start putting on. You mentioned earlier about you put content out. Things that you can add value to other people in some way, There's really, if I'm going to do it, there's really no point in waiting and making excuses. I just do with what I got and just do it. And so that's what I did.
Okay. Well, hey, thank you for coming on the show. This is Jacob Lee. If we should let you guys know if there's anything that you would want to ask him, you can reach out to him. He's on, I think you're on Instagram, right? And Facebook.
Yeah, I'm on. It's easy to find me on Facebook. Yep. You can also find me on my website at jacobdlee.com.
Yep. Well, you can reach out to him if you're thinking about getting into fluid applied or had some questions. He's a great guy to reach out to.
Feel free to reach out anytime. I'm good with that. I'm here to serve. I'm here. I know that's cliche, but I really am here to help out. I mean, I got started. I was very poor. I didn't have a lot of money, and I believe that we're put on this earth.
You're telling me this. You're telling a story this morning about running out of gas.
Yeah, I mean,
and then your wife came to pick you up, and your wife ran out of gas. This was years ago.
Yeah, exactly. When I got started, I was so poor, and I still think, and I put $20 in my tank because I was like, this is all I can afford. And I was driving a 1987 Chevy 1500 van, with clear windows. Like, I mean, it was like, we call it a fishbowl windows. And hey, that's where I started. I mean, that's where I started my company. I mean, obviously, no commercial business owner trusted me. I mean, and I'm sure they shouldn't. But, I kind of did whatever I could to kind of get ahead, and, soon I had a truck, and then I kind of worked my way up, and, you know how it is.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean, I'm here to help. It doesn't matter where people have been in the past. I don't care how poor they've been. I don't care how terrible their circumstances in life were. If they're willing to make a change in their life, if I can be in some part of that, I would just. It is so thrilling to me when I see somebody who was like completely broke. I mean, and we've helped a couple people, in the commercial roofing industry. They had no experience in commercial roofing. They went. They had practical experience in construction or whatever, roofing, residential roofing. And we helped them get started, and man, they were super successful. And 2 years later, they're saying that they made $300,000 last year, and they just really appreciate that you took the time to share.
Buying their first house or buying their first nice
exactly.
truck.
I mean, and they're buying a beautiful piece of property, and like driving new trucks. And I know it's not about the status symbol of driving new trucks and having new houses, but I believe it is about creating freedom for people. Mm-hmm. When good people have money, good things happen. Missions get funded. You're out of debt. I mean, that's a great thing.
More time with your family.
You get time with your family. And it's just so many good things happen when good people have money. And so my goal is, in any way that I can help to bless somebody's life, that is my goal.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being on today.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for doing the podcast.
Yeah.
I can listen to it. It's very good content. And anytime you need anything else, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you.
You've been listening to the Rocket Roof Show podcast. Be sure to subscribe through your favorite podcasting platforms such as iTunes or Google Play to get the latest episodes as they are launched. For more, please follow us on social media or visit our website at rocketroofshow.com. We look forward to joining you here again soon at the next launch.